On today's episode, we're going to talk about Elon Musk that is mad at Don Lemon, and we're going to talk about Bitcoin. We took a poll and asked when is it going to hit $100,000, if it is going to hit $100,000, and the Palantir CEO had some things to say about short sellers. Anyway, I'm Zunaid, that's AB, and this is the Market Breakdown. I feel like every time we hop on the timeline, someone is pissed off at Elon Musk or Elon Musk is pissed off at someone else, AB. Now it's Don Lemon that just, I believe it was yesterday, came out and said that Elon Musk is mad at him. They did an interview, right? So he interviewed Elon Musk, and then after the interview, Don Lemon got a text, or a text was sent to his representatives that said, contract terminated. Basically, Elon said, you know what? I don't want to have you get paid to have a show on X. It's just wild to me, the whole thing of how often Elon Musk get into fights with other people.
Hi everyone, Elon Musk is mad at me, and I just put out a statement about what happened between him, me, and the interview that he is apparently so upset about. But make no mistake about this. This is going to be my first episode of the Don Lemon Show this coming Monday, March 18th, so make sure you tune in. This does not change anything about the show except for my relationship with Elon and X. And there's a whole lot that went down, and I'm going to tell you about in the coming days.
Yeah, and I was a little bit confused when I saw this because I saw the statement made from Don Lemon, and he basically said that he was still going to post the interview on X, but I guess it's just not going to be exclusive to X, which is what the original agreement was. And Don Lemon said, like, hey, I thought I had a good conversation with Musk, but apparently Musk and his team did not agree, and obviously, you know, some a little bit of a sour parting there between Lemon and Musk. I didn't even do that on purpose. Sour and lemon. Wow, look at that.
Nice. Well done. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to have to order wings after this one. Speaking of Elon Musk, I think he's said many times about how he believes that 40 hours in a work week isn't enough. He wants to go ahead and have more hours for people to go ahead and get the job done to be as productive as he would like. Makes sense. He's got, a lot of people working under him, so he'd like to make a lot more money for humanity's sake, apparently. However, Grandpa Bernie Sanders, Senator Bernie Sanders, introduced legislation that would have a 32-hour work week, aka a 4-day work week. AB, I'm sure you would love that as you were 20 minutes late to this podcast recording.
Yeah, I mean, look, here's the thing. With the way things are trending in terms of AI and whatnot, like, it seems reasonable that we're going to be able to get the same amount of work done in less time. And then so if you're working your full 40 hours or whatever you had been working for the past 5 years, but yet your productivity is higher, then, I don't know, maybe either your pay should be more or maybe you should be working less if it's the same amount of pay. So other countries around the world have toyed with this idea of a 4-day work week. Again, I think like as more technology and more tools that help with our productivity, I think it makes sense. Selfishly, of course, I'd love that. That's 8 more hours a week that I could be spending golfing or doing something else that I like to do outside of work. But, I think like you said, it makes sense why Musk, who has a bunch of people working for him, would want more than 40 hours work week, whereas Sanders, he's probably
have. Never mind. Yeah.
Yeah, he might not have 40 hours left. But it's like Sanders is probably like, he's been in Washington for like 30 plus years or whatever. Like he probably sees how much time is just wasted in like bullshit hearings or meetings or whatnot. And he's like, look, like no one here is actually doing 40 hours of work a week anyway. You might as well cut it down. But again, like I got to take Bernie's side on this one. Look, I mean, if Musk is saying he wants me to work 60 and Bernie's saying he wants me to work 30, I know which one I'd prefer.
Do you clock in to Time Doctor?
Yeah, no. But we have to scan our badge to get into the office now. So like they have a record of when I scan in, and I come into the office every day, and I'm like one of the first people here now that I do pre-market prep in the morning. So
that's fair.
I think I'm covered there, but yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
Time Doctor is always giving me troubles. Like it starts like crashing other things on my computer.
No, for sure. That just means you don't work all day every day. But anyway, let's go ahead and keep it moving. You've got the TikTok. I don't want to call it a ban. Possible ban is what we'll move on because a lot of misinformation about it. So TikTok, now you have ByteDance that needs to go ahead and sell TikTok. If they don't sell it to a U.S. listed company, then they would go ahead and be banned. And I mean, look, that company is going to be a bit stubborn, in my opinion. I don't know if they would go ahead and just say, all right, ban us. We don't care, when U.S. is such a big chunk of their market share in terms of viewership. What do you think? ByteDance, they sell to a U.S. listed company? Or do they say, screw you, you're the ones who's missing out?
Well, the bill isn't official yet, right? It got passed by the House of Representatives, has to go through the Senate. Once it goes through the Senate, has to go to President Biden's desk, and he has to sign it into law. Now, Biden has already said he will sign it if the bill gets to his desk. So that part, I don't think there's a big if about. It's just about if the senators, the 100 senators in the Senate, pass it, which, a lot of times, I think most times when something gets through the House, it does get through the Senate. So it does look like this bill has some headway. Now, ByteDance has said before that they would be against the sale of TikTok. So they're, have basically, I think, tried to dissuade U.S. lawmakers from passing a bill like this by saying, hey, if you pass this, TikTok's just gone. We're not selling it. You guys are all screwed without the app, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But if the bill passes, will the company reconsider so that it can get, however many X billion dollars for the app versus nothing? Then probably. I mean, I assume the company.
Where are you going though? If you can't watch TikTok, where are you going? You going to Instagram? You going to Snapchat? Where are you spending your time if you're not on TikTok? You personally.
Me personally, I already don't use TikTok at all, so I don't. I'm on Instagram.
Where do you think people will go?
I think Reels on Instagram and Shorts on YouTube will be the two biggest winners. Snapchat too. I mean, if Snapchat puts out a better feature for scrolling videos, then maybe that they I know they've been trying. So I mean, Snapchat's one of those companies that it still has a huge user base. I saw a stat the other day that more than 5 billion snaps are sent every single day.
Wow.
5 billion snaps every single day. So, that's
the data that they're putting.
Yeah, imagine the cost for
That's insane. And this next topic, I'd like to talk about it, but I also want to be sensitive to what it is. You had the whistleblower who committed suicide between, I think he had just testified, or he was in between testifying against Boeing, and he allegedly, I don't know what the exact confirmation of it is, but he allegedly committed suicide, which again, if you're suffering from, depression or anything like that, please go ahead and seek help. Does this seem sketchy to you though?
I mean, look, people on Twitter, media, very quick to, make allegations, whatever. I personally, honestly, my view on it, or my opinion, I have no clue what happened. I think it is a lot more likely that, he did this himself than that Boeing went out and put a hit on him or something, because, you had all these different problems with Boeings over the past, 6 weeks, starting with the door plug blowing off on the Alaskan Airlines flight. You had wheels flying off a plane a few weeks ago in San Francisco. You had a Boeing that went into a nosedive on a Latin American flight. And luckily, all the gauges went black, and I assume that people on the plane were freaking out, but I guess the pilot was able to pull a plane out of the nosedive. But all these problems that were near catastrophes.
Are they Boeing's though? Are they Boeing's problem? Because you also had, I think there was an airline in Houston that kind of went off the runway. Are these Boeing's problems, or is it the maintenance crew
100%.
that is not doing the upkeeping?
100% they're Boeing's problems. They did an FAA investigation, and I want to say that 33 out of the 89 audits they did failed for Boeing. So, again, I have no clue what happened with this thing, but I guess since we're talking about it on the show, I'll give, and again, this is just my opinion, or not my opinion, my guess, my presumption, is that this guy was getting grilled by lawyers in a deposition or whatever, and probably realized through the questioning, did you know that this plug wasn't secured? And it's if he's under oath and he's yes, I did know that. And then he's, probably just feeling very overwhelmed by all this stuff going on. And I think, again, I don't know what happened, but I think that's a way more likely scenario, that him personally realizing, hey, I'm involved in this shit, and this shit's like way deeper, and there's a lot of problems, like people could have died, whatever, rather than a U.S. company like Boeing going out and putting a hit on one of its employees. Again, like that could be the case. I have no clue. I don't think so. But I think, like what I'm saying is a lot more likely. So until we know more information, that's what I'll go with. Again, I have no clue.
Yeah. Again,
and this is all alleged, by the way. If Boeing or Boeing's lawyers or anything like that are watching this, this is alleged. I'm talking, nothing more.
His name is Aaron Thomas.
Yep, that's how you pronounce it. That's how you pronounce it.
Well, I often joke about how you don't have a single Bitcoin in your portfolio, but outside of those jokes, 100,000. That's the question that we had asked folks on our Twitter account. Is we ran a poll to see, hey, when do you think Bitcoin is going to go ahead and reach 100,000? 42.9% of them said it'll reach 100,000 within the next 3 months. Are you a believer? First off, do you think it'll hit 100K? Second, do you think it'll have the next 3 months? If not, when do you think that happens?
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, I think we have problems if Bitcoin hits 100,000 soon. Over time, okay, fine. Like, sure, Bitcoin's probably, like it's been on this upward trend. But if Bitcoin goes from right now 70,000,
so we're at 71,000 as of this recording.
Yeah, so if Bitcoin goes from 70 to 100 in the next couple of weeks, that would mean that Bitcoin has gone from like less than 50 to 100 in the span of like a month and a half, 2 months. And I just think when you see that type of speculation in the market and that type of ramp ups, typically there's pain to be followed. So I actually not that I'm rooting against anyone that's invested in crypto. I mean, most of my friends, most of the people here at Benzinga do hold crypto. Not that I'm rooting against them. But again, I think if we do run up to 100,000, then we've got some problems on our hands. And I mean, like look at history. I mean, history has shown us that when you do have these big ramp ups, whether you're looking at Bitcoin or GameStop's chart or whatever it is, that there's going to be a reckoning on the other side. So maybe it does run up to 100 in the next couple of weeks. Maybe it steadies out. I think steadying out actually here would give me more faith in the markets right now.
Yeah, well, but just for heads up, in recent memory, the biggest rise that you had of about approximately 20 to 22% was on the week of February 26th. That's when Bitcoin went from about, call it 52,000 all the way to about $63,000. So I unfortunately don't own Bitcoin to the point where it would, help me retire. So that's sad. But you know who else is sad? It's the CEO of Palantir. I don't even know if he's sad. I think he might be angry because he had some interesting things to say about people that are short sellers, and he had a, forget it. Here, just watch this clip real quick.
The lines of cocaine and away from these short sellers who are going short on a truly great American company, not just ours, but just love pulling down great American companies so that they can pay for their coke. And the best thing that could happen to them is we will lead their coke dealers to their homes after they can't pay their bills. And that's like one of my...
Surely all short sellers...
Yeah, well, go ahead, habits. Do your thing, we'll do our thing.
I, obviously saw this on CNBC, so we knew it was not a parody account on Twitter, but what are your initial thoughts on that?
Look, again, this is all alleged. I don't know what I'm talking about. Lawyers, don't come after me. I mean... Talking about all short sellers being on coke during an interview like this, that seems kind of like a coke guy move. I don't know. It seems like there might be some projection going on or something, because I know some of these short sellers, or not even short sellers, but people that do short reports and stuff. We've had Edwin Dorsey on the show. They're good people, some of them. So I don't think, it's fair to group together any group of people and say they all do this one, illicit thing.
Have you gone short in the past?
Have I gone short?
Yeah, have you shorted stocks?
I've bought in puts before.
Have you done cocaine?
I've bought puts. I've bought puts before.
Yeah, it's amazing to me because I don't even know how short Palantir really is. I don't want to give a stat because I don't have an accurate count on it, but
it's about 5% of the outstanding shorts.
That's not even that much. I don't know, but regardless, I think we have a lot. The valuation is something that we talked about as well. I think they just got a government contract that was maybe about $2 million or so, and everyone was kind of celebrating it. Where it's like, bro, you're already in the billions of market cap. There's just not a lot of movement there that happens. Now, I do believe in Palantir in the long term, but I think maybe the valuation needs to come down a little bit in the sense of the stock price needs to go ahead and come on down. But speaking of come on down, we're going to go ahead and come on to the Tesla downgrade that went ahead and happened. You had Wells Fargo that downgraded Tesla as they see EV stock completely dropping 30% from here. That's pretty big. And you also, you had sales that went ahead and rose by 3% in the second half of 2023, according, from the first half, but prices fell 5% as well. So it's like, hey, cool, you're selling more units, but you're not getting as much money for each and every single car that you sell. You had UBS that went ahead and had their price target go from 225 to 165 as they maintained their neutral ratings. Tesla, are you a buyer or not? Currently trading at 163.
No, I could get interested in buying Tesla if it gets a little bit lower, at like 160 right now. Last time we saw it on the big downturn in 2022, we saw it get down to right around $100 and bounce from there. So I'd start looking at around $100, but right now I think there's way more short-term risk than there is potential upside for Tesla. Like you mentioned, the price cuts. I mean, look, at the end of the day, people will say, the big Tesla bulls out there, I'm sure you guys will be in the comments coming after me, whatever. You're the Elon fanboys, whatever. Love you guys too. But you guys will be coming out saying, you don't get it. Tesla's not a car company. It's this, it's that. It's an AI company. It's okay. But how does Tesla make its money? By selling cars. And whatever you do, if you're a company, whatever you're selling, if you have to cut prices to be able to get demand up, that typically is a sign that your product's not flying off the shelves, that there's some demand problems there. So just based on everything I've seen, and it's not just from Tesla. I mean, it's from all car companies saying, hey, EVs, there's not as much demand there as we anticipated. And it's not like Tesla's got some hybrids or some gas-powered vehicles that they can, pump out instead of the EVs. That's their whole business. Yeah. So I'm not, huge on Tesla up here. I think the valuation is still too expensive. I think especially if you look at it compared to other car companies. And like you said, I mean, even if they're selling more, but for less money, their margins aren't going to be as good. And that was always one of the biggest points from the Tesla bulls, was that Tesla's margins were greater than all the other car companies. And now that the price cuts cut into that. So it's not as great. You have also China concerns. Boyd, which is BYD, which is backed by Warren Buffett, has been putting out a bunch of cars in China. Seems like demand is weak in China for Tesla. So either way, I mean, I'm out on Tesla. That's not to say it can't bounce here, but again, looking at the chart right now, I'll start buying at 100. Okay.
Well, you've got a plenty ways to go for that. Again, currently trading at approximately 163 or so. But let's go ahead and talk about a stock that, not even a stock, but something that's kind of moving on up. You've got the Starship test launch, and we'll go ahead and play the clip for you here. So, Elon's had some great success with this in the past, and you obviously went ahead and had the spacecraft's cruise vessel that flew around the globe for the first time. Unfortunately, though, they did lose contact in the final stages before the planned splashdown. The question to you is, would you go to Mars?
Would I go to Mars? No.
Would you go to Mars? No, not at all?
No. I don't even...
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't even really like flying in planes, let alone...
Oh, really?
Well, I mean, I do it. I fly in planes a lot, but it's not like my favorite thing in the world. I'm not like...
You don't have to brag about it, but yeah.
No, I'm not bragging about it. I fly like Spirit.
Do you think we'll
I'm not like flying private?
Do you think I've never flown Spirits? I guess now I'm bragging. But
yeah,
do you think we'll ever get to Mars in Elon's lifetime, or is it well past him? So like call it the next 40, 50 years. How about that?
How old is Elon Musk?
I don't know. Well, let's 40, 50 years.
I don't think with his drug habits, he's making it that long. We'll see. I don't know. I think yeah. I mean, 40. That's a long time. Like, think about where technology was 20 years ago in 2004 compared to where it's at now. So I think and the way it's like Moore's law or whatever, how technology exponentially increases.
20 years ago, people thought we'd have flying cars. We have OnlyFans, which again. Hey, do you get your money or get AB's money? I don't know. But do you think, though, I guess, would you invest in SpaceX if it was a public company?
Probably just because I think SpaceX is far and away the leader in that space in terms of like private space stuff. You know, I mean, like NASA, NASA contracts.
NASA's not publicly traded. Yes.
What'd you say?
Nothing. So you would invest in them just because they're the leaders on the publicly available side.
Yes. Well, no, they're not publicly available, but yes.
If they were,
then yes.
Because they'd be the leaders. Yes.
Yes, but I also like I honestly like, and I know there's probably some like science nerds and stuff that would tell me I'm being dumb here, but like I think it's dumb how much money we spend on space stuff still. Like there's so many problems on Earth. It's like, why can't we figure out, you know, like some of this shit here before we start worrying about what's up there? And I'm sure there are people who be like, oh no, this is why we have to put billions of dollars of government money behind NASA and SpaceX. But I mean, again, I think there are other bigger issues at hand.
I think it's dumb how much money you spend on OnlyFans.
Well, that amount is zero, so I guess, you know. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in to the Market Breakdown. Shout out to my man Zunaid, and Michael, our producer. As always, happy St. Patrick's Day to all who celebrate this weekend. Be safe. Get a nice little green beer in you, and we'll catch you next week.